So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today in this session. We are also joined by a stellar panel here with us of speakers. And the topic we're going to discuss about is reimagining customer experiences in the context of e-commerce. What do customers today in the context of e-commerce really expect from brands, and what does it really look like? So we'll start with a quick round of introductions from all our panelists. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Prateek Mahajan. I head the business operations at Unicommerc, and Unicommerc is a SaaS provider for supply chain and e-commerce solutions. So everything from the post-sales customer experience is taken care by Unicommerc as a platform.
Hi, I'm Mahesh Reddy, CEO GoPizza India. It's a pizza company. It's a food tech company.
Hi, I'm Prabhdeep Bedi, and I head the D2C e-commerce business for PUMA India.
Thank you all. And my name is Kavitha. I'm a managing director with Accenture, and I lead the retail industry practice for them. So to get started, I thought it's good to start on a lighter note and maybe a bit of an icebreaker. So one question I'm going to place to all the panelists is, in their personal experience, what has been one great wow e-commerce experience that they have had as a customer, or what has been one of the worst experiences that they've had as a customer? So panelists, please, no brands, we don't want to get anyone down, but please share your own personal experience as a customer in the e-commerce space. So Prabhdeep, would you like to go first?
Should I go first? I'll start off with the worst experience, and then maybe others can make it better after this. So my worst experience, actually, this happened when I was in the US in 2015. So I'll not name the brand, but this is one of the largest internet companies in the world, and especially in the US. And they also are into the DTH business, right? So my parents were coming over to the US, so I had to add 3 Hindi channels, Star Plus, Z, and Sony, to my list of channels that I already had, which I never really watched. And it was absolutely impossible for me to convey to them, what I want. While I was seeing something on the front end, the back-end team was not able to do much about it. They activated something, charged me less than what I was willing to pay. I was telling them I'm willing to pay more, but I really want this channel. Can you make it happen? And they were absolutely clueless and could not make it happen. And for the first time, and I'm not proud of it, I actually had to resort to social media to get their attention, and I had to post on Facebook, which was still big back then, to get their attention, and got it resolved, right? So yeah, I mean, this for me is one of the worst experiences. It was 7 years ago, so I'm sure things have come a long way since then. But others.
Thank you, Prabhdeep. Mahesh, would you like to go next?
Very short. Bad experience. I don't get what I want at the time when I want it. Good experience. I can replace how many ever times with extra when I want it.
Okay, that's a very interesting statement. Prateek, over to you.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the time when e-commerce in India was beginning, the early 2012, 13, 14. So at that time, whenever any new things used to come in e-commerce, those used to be really wow factors. And at that time, for a lot of people, it was the discounts that used to come in. But one specific thing I do remember was when I had ordered something on one of the bigger e-commerce platforms by around 10:30 a.m. and by evening 4:30 p.m. it was delivered. This is way back in 2014. At that time, delivering a same-day delivery was a complete wow factor. That was something that really instilled the thing that e-commerce is definitely going to change the industry itself. And as we've seen, it has changed a whole new landscape, and small new things like these also are the ones that end up changing these things.
Right, as they always say, customers always remember their worst experiences. So we heard 2 examples of not so great experience and 1 example of a wow experience. Thank you, panelists, for that. So one thought is that COVID is behind us, but one thing it has done to us is it has left us with a customer who's very digitally savvy, a customer who's expecting a lot of personalization today, and a customer who wants to shop in a channel agnostic fashion. So the one question that I would like to place to our panelists is, what are some learnings that we are taking from the couple of years of COVID behind us, and what is that we want to take forward into the future, let's say the next 1 year. So maybe Mahesh and Prabhdeep, if you could take that on.
For me, for the company, COVID was an opportunity to set the backends. We had to change the entire format of doing the business. But that made us to learn and save the cost and work in a different way and gave us the opportunity post-COVID how it can be different. Yes, now it is more about experiences. During the COVID, it was more of online. But now it's an experience. Now everybody wants to come out. Everybody wants to feel it. Everybody wants to get it fast. Everybody wants to explore it as if there is no food tomorrow and today is the end. And that's the difference which we see post-COVID. So we see more of experiences of a dining, which is happening now.
Yeah. So I think for us, I'll divide the answer into two parts, right? One is what it has done for PUMA or the sportswear slash athleisure industry at large. It has made people more health conscious for sure. It has also made something like this as an acceptable office wear, or at least when you're working from home, right? So that has really helped put the momentum behind the industry overall. So I feel, or we at PUMA feel very lucky to be in this space, right? So from a growth point of view, the last couple of years, and actually both 2020 and 2021 have been pretty good, right? Except for maybe the first wave of COVID, things have been really well for us, right? Now coming more specific to the e-commerce business, I think what has happened, it has definitely brought more new customers onto e-commerce, customers who would otherwise maybe never even consider buying online. They are now buying online, right? And we have to change our ways for those customers as well, right? And an example is customer is becoming more and more impatient, right? Like somebody who would want to just go to the store and pick up the shoe and then take it home now expects same day or next day delivery because they are used to that because they have been buying from store, right? I was sharing this with Prateek, right? A very simple thing as my parents' generations or even their parents' generations is coming online, right? They are more conversant with say WhatsApp versus SMS now, right? So how do we engage with them on channels that they are more comfortable with? I think these are the things that, of course, we at PUMA and the industry overall is getting to with this next phase of users who has come in post-COVID.
Sure, very interesting. So maybe over to you, Prateek. As a technology SaaS platform in the e-commerce space, what are you seeing as the most important thing to do in the next 1 year, particularly to enable your customers in the e-commerce space?
Sure. So when we talk about technology space, specifically over the last 2 years, e-commerce has grown to such an extent that if pre-COVID, it would not have been possible for it to grow at that scale in the next 5 to 6 years itself. Customers, brands, platforms have become very technology centric, and what they specifically want is to improve. Now I'll just talk about 3 things on how people or companies tend to improve, and one is go deep into what they're offering. So what we have seen is that brands tend to, earlier on they were offering a catalog, say for example of normal products. Now they want to do bundles. Or they want to ensure that they are fulfilling the customer's needs from different warehouses. So basically going into more depth of what you're offering to ensure customer experience is there. Then brands have started exploring different categories. So earlier on, if a product or a brand in fashion was probably doing clothing, now they've started their own cosmetics products as well. So the need for technology in expiry management has come in. So the same brands are expanding into different categories, which has itself asked us to evolve and evolve very quickly. And the third thing is when they want to expand, anybody wants to expand, the third way is to expand into different geographies. So what we've started seeing and brands do is start selling internationally as well. Start selling across Amazon FBA, across the world, across Southeast Asia on different platforms, and we have brands who are selling across multiples and multiples of countries. In fact, some brands in e-commerce are selling close to around in 70 countries itself. So depth, width, and new geographies. This is what has come as basic principles, and all of these have really pushed us as well to quickly expand our offerings and match with the pace that the brands themselves want.
Thank you for that, Prateek. Maybe we deep dive a little bit into the two spaces that we are in. One is, of course, food e-commerce, which is a very, very challenging space. So I was just wondering, what do you see as some of the challenges in terms of delivering a great customer experience to your customers?
Fortunately or unfortunately, we deliver food. If 5 minutes is delayed, the temperature of the pizza goes down, but the person temperature goes up. If 10 minutes increases, again the pizza temperature decreases, the person's BP increases. And if it's not delivered within 30 minutes, you can imagine the temperature of the pizza versus the customer. So this is the challenge, the expectation. The expectation is if the food has to be delivered on time. Now you can call it as a challenge or you can call it as an opportunity. I feel, in fact, in the e-commerce business, it's an opportunity that so many players have come. You could say Swiggy, you could say Zomato, you could say Magic Pay, you could say DotPay, so many people. But the best part is, surprise was, Zomato's valuation was more than X companies without an asset, just on the basis of the UOQs. So you can imagine the opportunity and the potential. Yes, the challenge is, India is still not like Singapore. Singapore, not everybody, in fact, 98% they order outside. In India, still ghar ka khana, it will take time for the deliveries to pick up. But that is the opportunity because of our GDP, for the population, because of the entire country.
Sure, so if I may just ask a follow-on question. One of the most important things you mentioned was about the delivery time, right? So how do you see food e-commerce firms overcoming that?
I feel we need to have more and more aggregators. We need to restrict our areas. It needs to be within the certain kilometer which can be delivered. In Bangalore, from Shantiniketan mall to here, it took 30 minutes for me. So when I cannot come and we are expecting pizza to come within 30 minutes in the morning. So the challenge is traffic. The challenge is the time. So I feel to overcome it, we need to have more outlets. That's an opportunity, in fact. We need to open more outlets, more than 2 kilometers, in every 2 kilometers, which will ensure that it's delivered on time.
And then drones,
Sure.
right, for delivery.
Drones.
Maybe in the future you will deliver pizzas in the metaverse.
Possible.
It's possible.
Over to you, Prabhdeep. How do you see this in the sports, fashion, leisure space? What, according to you, are some of the biggest challenges impacting customer experience today?
Yeah, so, I mean, fortunately, we are not in the business of delivering food, so it's not that, if it doesn't get delivered in 30 minutes, then the temperature rises. I think that's not the problem. Having said that, as I mentioned earlier, our customer also is becoming, more and more impatient. So definitely we have to, get rid of all the kinks in the supply chain to make sure that, next day delivery at least becomes a norm, right? If not same day. But that, for me, is something that we are, of course, it's a journey that we started a year ago, and we are, well on our way to achieving that. I think the biggest challenge, though, for us, and I'm going to make a very, cliched statement, which I was hearing even in the previous panel, is how do you personalize? There is a lot of clutter out there, right now for a consumer, right? I mean, you go on to your Insta account, and I'm sure, it picks up what you have browsed last, and then, keeps giving you ads after ads of what you want to buy, or what you should be buying, right? Not what you want to buy, right? So for me, it is important, like, how do we cut it down to ideally the 15 or 20 items that you would be really interested in actually buying and making sure that you actually then go and buy them. And this is not something which will happen overnight, right? We really have to know you really well as a customer for us to get you that list of 15. But there are steps to get there, right? At least at the first step is to get your filters and search right on your homepage, so that if you're looking for white sneakers, you don't get results for green, or if you're looking for sneakers, you're not getting running shoes, for example, right? So I think all companies have to get onto that journey of with the end goal of personalizing that feed for you as a consumer, but at least make the shopping experience as personalized as possible, so that you can yourself maybe narrow it down to the 15 that you are really interested in. Right, and this is not going to stop. This clutter is going to continue, right? More and more brands are going to come in. And sorry for the using the word clutter. I'm not saying that brands are bad brands or whatever are coming in, but more and more brands are going to come in because there is enough and more opportunity in this space, right? So as companies, therefore, our duty is to kind of reduce what the customers are seeing and showing them what they really want to buy or will buy. Yeah.
Sure, thanks Prateek for that. So maybe Mahesh and Prabhdeep spoke about a couple of things. One was the speed of delivery in the food e-commerce space, which is extremely critical, and Prabhdeep spoke about personalization. So to you, Prateek, how do you see technology enablement in this space? Is that something you feel you can do to support retailers on this journey, their asks as end customers?
Yes, absolutely. So when brands are selling today, it's not just on their brand.com that they're selling. They're also selling on different platforms. So in your case, it would be Zomato, Swiggy. In your case, it would be Flipkart, Myntra, Amazon, and so on and so forth. So I think one thing becomes very important for the brand itself is to try to offer a common experience to the customer, try to own that entire experience, and that comes in terms of automation. Because the customer itself, whatever platform they're offering, they're ordering pizza from you or they're ordering a PUMA shoe from you. For them, the brand matters. Yeah. So how do you ensure this experience itself is owned by you? So one thing would definitely be on how do you communicate to the customer, how often do you communicate, and seamlessly automation of that communication becomes very, very important. And that is the brand experience that we really want to talk about. And the other part is the speed of delivery. So, and that's where I was also mentioning that when you have, say, something like an omni-channel presence where you have stores fulfilling, in your case, it's always all the stores. So, and in your case, like you have warehouse and stores. Customers would want the same delivery. So, for example, if you're ordering from a Flipkart or an Amazon or all these platforms, they have omni-channel services, and how quickly can we integrate with those to ensure that one-day delivery happens in all those customers. Like you said, one-day delivery ideally should become the norm. So these are certain problems that we are trying to solve with the brands to ensure customer experience, customer communication becomes very streamlined, then ensuring the entire delivery speed that becomes very streamlined, and these two are basic things that customer tend to expect. And once after that, there is a return experience. Return experience is something that the brand should definitely own, because return sometimes may be brands feel that, hey, we've lost a customer. But a lot of brands take that opportunity to ensure that the customer becomes a fan because of the return experience. That how quickly, how seamlessly did you end up creating the return and ensuring that the customer got the right product that they wanted. That is actually what ensures the customer will come back again rather than go anywhere.
Yeah. So just building on that, see, I think the whole direct-to-consumer thing is in vogue right now, and everybody is talking about it, right? And it's not cheap to do it, right? And I think more and more brands are going towards that to control the experience end to end, because ultimately the game is still those metrics or startup valuation metrics, which are like a lifetime value, is very much true, because that is where you're going to win the long-term e-commerce game, right? And therefore the entire end-to-end experience, which starts with browsing on your platform, or actually even before that, getting to your platform, say through an ad which you really like, to then browsing on your platform, to buying it, and the logging in, via mobile OTP, to actually placing the order, to getting links on updates on, where your order is, to the return experience. If end to end all of this experience is really good, then the customer will definitely come back to your platform and buy from you over and over again, versus buying from a different brand, or going on to a marketplace to buy, right? So definitely, what Prateek you mentioned is important.
Sure, some great thoughts there. So maybe Prabhdeep, a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Do you really feel that a channel agnostic, true omni-channel experience is something that we are going to see in the near term, or is it only a dream that's going to stay a dream for a long, long time to come?
No, I mean, it's definitely not a dream. I think there are parts of it that are already in place with quite a few brands and retailers, right? I mean, I'm not saying that PUMA is all the way there, right? See, I see omni-channel, and I mentioned this earlier as well, that I see it as like solving two things, right? One is access to the inventory or access to the merchandise, right? And for the customer, at least, there is the widest possible range that is available for them to buy into. And the other thing that it solves for is, of course, faster delivery, because you would have a fairly large network of stores than warehouses, for example, right? Now, it depends on what you are trying to solve for, right? And if there are different ways of solving these two problems, then maybe you can keep delaying it a little bit, right? So, for example, from our stores, we have the PUMA.com front end there for a customer to buy something from the store if it is not available in the store. We call it the endless aisle, and I'm sure other brands have also similar solutions. But we don't still have something on PUMA.com where you buy from there and the delivery happens from the store, because we are solving for the speed and the inventory problems in different ways, right? So it depends on what you're trying to solve for your customer, and basis that, of course, I mean, this is not a dream for sure. I think many brands are well on their way to achieving pure channel-less experience, as you would call it, and it will happen. It is going to happen for sure.
Thanks. So maybe the next question related to what we were talking about goes to both Mahesh as well as Prabhdeep. The question is, if you had to think about an unconstrained world and you had the opportunity to dream, what would the one thing that would really impact and enable a great customer experience? If you had to do one thing within your category, for example, what would that be?
Unconstrained, I would like read your mind and tell you, here, this is what you want to buy it right now at the price that you want it, right? So, I mean, yeah, if I have to think unconstrained, yeah, that is what it will be. I'm willing to pay a very high price for that click on that one item, because I'll more than recover from the first transaction itself. So yeah, unconstrained, that.
Read people's minds, reads your customers' minds. Yes. Okay, that's very interesting to hear. Mahesh, what are your thoughts?
I feel a surprise gift on my anniversary. Surprise gift on my anniversary.
Oh, okay. It's more a gift on your anniversary, okay. Maybe, Prateek, to you, we've spoken a lot about what should brands do, how should they look at making a great customer experience. But maybe is there something you would like to share in terms of what brands must not do, don't need to focus on?
So I think when we talk about what brands don't need to focus on, it's again something that they need to focus on. It's just ensuring that certain things are simple rather than being complex. So for example, giving a very clear thing on whenever a order is placed, the delivery communication has to be very spot on, because that has become a benchmark, that has become an expectation from each and every customer. If I were the customer and I order, I definitely want to know where the product is. The other thing that I definitely want to ensure is the returns experience should not be complex. So a few years ago when D2C started, a lot of websites or platforms did not have a return mechanism in place, specifically because the platforms, D2C platforms, were not created for India. They were created for US and Canada, and that is where returns don't end up happening. So they never ended up having that stack in place. And then at those points, the return process was extremely painful. Try to call the person or try to send a mail, or just, for example, you had mentioned experience that you can just send the return, forget about it, and then they'll refund it. That's not a great customer experience. So ensuring the customer experience in returns is very seamless. If a customer wants to place a return, create a central part They can just create the return, end of story, and just ensure that things are right. So quick delivery communication, no wrong deliveries, and ensuring a good seamless returns process. These are basic things that the customer definitely wants, that quickly get things sorted out, and the customer remembers that if I bought it from here or this platform, the experience was good, so I should definitely go back to those things that they end up doing. And also just on one thing, so curiously that you had just asked about what customers would want. So I remember one experience on Amazon, I think on grocery specifically, that, and I don't know why they've taken it down. So on grocery, you used to order things every week, right? So at one point of time, they switched on a feature that when I went to Amazon, I searched, say, for example, oil or olive oil. The first thing that came out, you last ordered this oil, do you want to order it again? And then the remaining selection. That is a customer experience. That was, although that would have dipped the sales of other SKUs, and I think that's why they would have taken it off. But that was an amazing thing, but the trade-off has to be made.
Sure. Thank you. Very interesting perspectives on that. So I think we are coming to the end in terms of time. We heard a couple of very interesting ideas. One was about what do customers expect today. Of course, it was related to speed of delivery. Personalization was very interesting. In fact, being able to show customers only a relevant assortment rather than the entire assortment. And I think Prateek also mentioned about what it means for retailers and how technology can be a great enabler in terms of their expansion plans. So very interesting perspectives. I think we have a couple of minutes. I'm just wondering if there are any questions from the audience. A burning question which one of you would like to ask to any of our panel members here. No questions at all?
No questions. We've either been very boring or absolutely clear. So.
Any concluding thoughts from any of the panelists?
Guys, I feel we are at the right era and right age. Let it be any industry, let it be any division. The growth which next 10 years we're going to do for the country, entire globe is going to watch us. I only wish we had this opportunity 20 years back, but next 10 years is for us and we will do it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Completely
Mahesh. Very
agree.
positive
Thanks.
perspective. Anything else from any of you?
No, I think he summed it up really well. Can't top it. So.
Thank
I don't
you.
think any of us can top what he just said.
I think what Mahesh said is true for all of us in the audience as well. We definitely see the next decade as one of great growth for the country. So thank you very much. Thanks to everyone on the panel.
Thank you.
And thank you to the audience.